I said to myself, this is the business we've chosen. I didn't ask who gave the order, because it had nothing to do with business.
Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC Fight Night 185, Curtis Blaydes versus Derrick Lewis. We're going to talk two client plays that we have on this card. Also already have two other client plays up on Wagertalk. If you want to see my entire write-up for the two plays I'm going to be talking about here, as well as two other plays that I do have. I may be adding a fifth play. I'm going to finish capping that tonight. May add a fifth play on there as well. So definitely take a look for free. Last weekend is for free. Looking out here to go make some money this weekend. But before we even get into this coming Saturday night, we need to address last Saturday night. And boy, was it not good. Definitely not happy with it. A lot of bad decisions there that I made. Mallory Martin, complete mess. Even Usman, I thought I really capped Usman to kind of get to that distance. And he goes out there, really popped out that jab, looked incredible. Best we've seen him, and definitely a lot of bad decisions there. We kicked the shit out of bookies in 2020, and we're giving some of that profit back this year, so I'm not too happy about that. Talked to a lot of you guys out there, this is part of it, this is the game, this is the life we chose, but bad decisions overall, and it reminds me of other bad decisions you can make. You could, work out next to a glass fish tank. That's a bad decision. It's not gonna pan out the way you want it to be. You could kick a police officer when you're in another country. Bad decision, not going to turn out the way you want it to turn out. Or after a win, high five the TV. Bad decision. Those are the kind of bad decisions I felt I made over the last few weekends. Not happy with it. Really, got to dive into the next one. And the thing about it, and we even talked about this last year, and even when we were winning, getting all that money, even after we go out there, we get that victory. We got to cap the next weekend. So that's what we're doing here. We got to keep going, stick to the process. Giving some of that profit back does not feel good, but we're going to get it back in the end of it all. So we're going to go out here. We're going to talk two client plays here. Again, if you want to see the rest of them, take a look at Wagertalk.com. But we're going to dive into the main event. I'm going to have a method of victory play there, and then I'm also going to talk one other play as well. So we're going to talk first, main event of the evening between Curtis Blaydes and Derrick Lewis. So first thing we're talking about here is, again, we're going to talk about last three fights for each fighter, see what we see if one fighter can expose the other fighter, and if the line makes sense to place a wager. So the first person we're talking about here is Derrick Lewis. Now, you got the current line here. You've got, it's really starting to pick up now. I mean, Blaydes definitely was at I think a minus 300 not long ago. Now he's up to about a minus 420. You've got Derrick Lewis. He's roughly around that plus 320, 320, 330, 340 mark, somewhere in there, depending where you're shopping. So first we're going to talk about is we're going to talk Blaydes Ivanov versus Derrick Lewis. Now this fight here, I got to say, was pretty interesting. Now Blaydes is a smaller guy. He's not a big guy. He's definitely smaller for the division overall. Lewis is a big guy, of course. And right away you did see Ivanov got the takedown. Ivanov shot for the takedown real quickly, got him down, got on top of him. Now, the one thing, though, that you've seen Lewis kind of improve in his game is really the scrambling ability. I mean, one is the cardio. I mean, he definitely was a guy that really had no gas in the tank and just out of shape. And he's kind of slimmed down. He's kind of been able to kind of, definitely elevate some of those parts of his game overall. And, Blaydes got him down, got back up, and, Lewis was able to land a couple good shots, big shots landing from both of them. And then going into that second round was kind of the same thing. Ivanov got those takedowns, and it was, I think, very impressive that although Ivanov does have grappling credentials and all that, he definitely was able to get down the bigger guy, which I thought was impressive. And again, going into Saturday night, we've got Curtis Blaydes, who's going to be much bigger than some of these guys that ended up getting Lewis down, I think is definitely helping us to where we want to place our money. So going into that, then it was the second round, same thing, getting him down and just explosiveness for Lewis to get back up because, again, not a lot of top pressure coming from Ivanov. And then going into the third round, it's kind of the same thing, some takedowns, good combinations from both of them, very close fight. So I can't say that, it was a robbery, but I kind of was leaning a little bit Ivanov there. It depends how you're scoring these takedowns, that there wasn't much damage on top. So it kind of depends on kind of how you really judge that. Close decision. It was a split decision victory for Lewis. I thought that he lost, but Lewis goes out there, gets that decision victory. Then 2 fights ago, he fought Ilir Latifi. This fight here was another one where you got a guy who, in Latifi, who moved up the heavyweight. So he's not gonna, he's a big guy, but this is a move up for him here. So you've got Lewis who's cutting down. Now he's not as much anymore, just because again he slimmed down. But he's a guy who was cutting down to make the limit at heavyweight. So this was a spot here where early on Latifi couldn't get the takedowns, but then he ended up finding some success, kind of landing some success, getting some good shots. Getting the takedowns. He ended up being 4 for 7 in that fight in the takedowns, being successful there. The only issue that he had was he just couldn't get the damage. He just wasn't big enough to kind of keep him down, keep that top pressure, keep him down, land the big shots, keep him down. And it was, it was very close. Again, another very close fight. I would edge it to Lewis, but a close fight, kind of sloppy. And this is another guy where he's aging. A lot of the guys that he fought, aging fighters, not in their prime, lackluster performances even from their past fights coming up to this fight. So these kind of fights were really kind of a tailor-made fights, really for Lewis and kind of his style and how he fights. But he goes out there, he gets a decision victory over Latifi. But again, I thought with the limited damage that Latifi did on top was the big issue, and then not having that top pressure gives Lewis the victory. And then most recently, he fought Alexei Oleinik. Now, this was a fight here where Lewis went the other way. Lewis is a guy that, hey, you can take him down. Oh, he's easy to take down, that kind of thing. He went forward and said, I'm the bigger guy here. Alexei's not really the biggest guy. Took him right down, but here was a situation where you had a guy who actually has the grappling credentials to kind of maneuver off of his back and kind of maneuver, transition out of certain situations, out of certain spots. And that's what Oleinik did. Oleinik was able to kind of maneuver out, moved out of it. They were both rolling on the ground a lot for most of that first round. They were both kind of rolling around the ground. And at that very end of that first round is really where, you had Oleinik was, if he had maybe another 20 seconds somewhere in there, I mean, it was very close where he was looking to get a finish. He was hunting submissions. Lewis, kind of didn't seem like he had very much, as in defending those. But the crazy part of this all is it looked like a good showing first round for Oleinik, but Oleinik was completely gassed out of it as soon as that first round ended. I mean, he ended up putting his legs up on the cage. He was laying down with his back to the mat, trying to get the blood flow working. And that right there just shows, you've got a 43-year-old Alexei Oleinik. That's not going to work out too well for you. Going into that second round, he almost didn't have anything. It was, I think, the first exchange. Popped Alexei, he went down, and that ended up being the end of the fight. Lewis brutally knocked him out, just hard ground and pound, big shots, and that ended up ending the fight. So he goes out there and gets it in the KO victory in the second round. Now on the other side, you've got Curtis Blaydes. Curtis Blaydes, 2 fights ago, fought Schmel, and I'm not even going to attempt to say his last name because I will butcher it, but he ended up fighting Schmel, and this was a fight here where you got another guy who's a grappler, wrestler, and you just saw how good Curtis Blaydes is when it comes to his grappling ability and what he's able to do. I mean, really impressive. He goes out there, gets the quick takedown. I think in the first minute, he ended up having 2 takedowns, and then he ended up continuing it throughout the round, keeping top pressure. Somehow, Schmel kept getting up, but still, it was good top pressure. And then the very end of that second round, that first round, really landed some hard ground and pound. And that's something that you definitely see Curtis Blaydes evolving, kind of getting better, getting tighter at his striking. He was a guy that kind of got on top of you, and that's all he really had, kind of, maneuvering on top, kind of tiring you out, didn't really have much. Now he's really adding the striking, the stand-up game, the grappling, the ground and pound. And here he goes out there, land a big elbow, busts him open. Going into that second round, it didn't take too much. He was hurt. He kept going in there, pushing forward, landing the big shots. Curtis Blaydes was 5 for 5 in takedowns going into that second round, and ended up having heavy top control. And that's, again, a very strong weapon for Curtis Blaydes, is where he goes out there, he gets those big takedowns, and then he adds that big top pressure. He's a big guy for the division, ended up getting the ground and pound, getting the TKO victory in the second round, and there you have it there. 2 fights ago, he fought Junior Dos Santos. This was a fight where Dos Santos has pretty good takedown defense. So it was kind of, is this going to be a stand-up fight? How is this fight going to really play out? How are they going to be end up fighting? And right away, I thought JDS looked pretty good. But the one thing that he does, and this is something that we talked about when we capped some of his fights, is he kind of does almost what Overeem does, where he doesn't turtle up, but he does this awkward run away. He does not want to be cornered. He is not comfortable with his back to the cage. Either is Overeem. When we talked about, we had Volkov against Overeem, that was a big thing. That small cage is not going to give you much space to kind of maneuver. And this was a spot here where it was the normal size cage, I believe. Yeah, normal size cage. But he still was just terrified. He kind of just moving around awkwardly, and that was where Curtis Blaydes pushed forward. He was trying to get those takedowns, and it was good job by JDS to kind of maneuver, get out of the way, not able to really corner him in the spot. Going to that second round again, a lot of the forward pressure again, but the one thing that JDS was doing was he was just throwing a naked uppercut. He was looking to land the one big shot that when Curtis Blaydes looked to level change, he would land the big uppercut. He threw it a few times in that first round, and you even heard just before the knockout where Curtis Blaydes knocks out Junior Santos, you even hear Daniel Cormier say he's got to stop throwing that. He needs to stop. He needs to hide it behind something. He needs to pop out the jab and then at least give him a different look instead of just throwing it. And that was what happened literally 10 seconds later, is where JDS is throwing the uppercut, and the hand speed of, I gotta say, of Curtis Blaydes looked really good. He goes out, lands the big shot, rocked him, got on top of him, finishes him in the second round. And again, that shows the evolution of Curtis Blaydes. That he is a world-class wrestler, but he's starting to really piece together the hands and starting to really make people think, hey, he could beat me standing. It's not just going to have to be the ground game. He goes out there, gets the TKO victory in the second round. And then most recently he fought Alexander Volkov. This was a fight here where it was very interesting because Volkov is a big guy for the division, very tall, very rangy, top level kickboxing. And you see now again, he's another guy who you see he's kind of coming into his own, really piecing together nice performances. And this is by here where he just couldn't get, in the beginning it was good defense by Volkov. Volkov was kind of trying to move around, getting the takedowns, but the one thing about Volkov is, and you've seen it even with his fights, his past fights, is he's pretty good off his back. I mean, he definitely doesn't hunt for submissions, but he can survive, and you've seen him do that when he's been taken down. He survives, he's able to just kind of make it through those rounds. He wasn't able to pile up damage until later in the fight, where you started to see Volkov had a little bit of success there, standing with them a little bit, and again, just so much pressure going forward from Curtis Blaydes, and he goes out there, he gets a decision victory there. Very good fight. Ended up getting not an easy decision, but a nice performance for him going up there and get the victory. So with that all being said, now obviously you've got Curtis Blaydes. He is a world-class wrestler, elite level wrestler. I mean, I seriously would say he is the Khabib of the heavyweight division. Just the way that he fights, he's able to really kind of piece it together. Top pressure, endless forward pressure, and that's something that really Derrick Lewis is going to have to deal with. I mean, that is something where, again, this is a smaller cage, not really many places to go, and that, you're going to see Lewis maybe go for broke early. He's going to maybe just say, look, I can't outlast this guy over 5 rounds. I'm not going to win it. I have to look for the big bomb, which is going to be scary, obviously. He's looking for the big bomb, but that's not going to leave a lot in the gas tank for him as well. But the elevated striking is another thing. You've seen it. The fact that he outstruck Junior Santos on the feet, he didn't just, take him to the ground, like he did to Overeem, took him to the ground, beat the hell out of him on the ground, and then they called a TKO down there. He is going out there and showing that he can throw the hands. The only reason I think that he kind of held back with Volkov is because Volkov is just, he's definitely a top-level guy, but just the range, the height, the reach, all those things, Blaydes kind of wanted to mix it up a little bit more, but I think the elevator striking is one thing. And the fact that this is a 5-rounder, I think that he's given him a lot of time to go out there and find a finish going against Lewis. And the Lewis, on the other side, you've got him, obviously he's the heavy-handed guy, throws bombs, he's looking to land a big shot. That's his big thing overall. He's slimmed down a lot. I think that's going to help him, it has helped him going out there and just kind of lasting and getting through those fights, and then at least still looking for, he's the one guy he's never out of the fight. He's always looking for the big bomb, and he's the kind of guy that can do it now, last a little bit longer. Now, the downside of Lewis is that's all he has. I mean, in general, he really only has the big right hand. He doesn't set it up with too much. He's starting to do a lot of kicks. He definitely has a kicking game that he's kind of added, which, a guy of his size is throwing like switch kicks and stuff. It's pretty impressive, but it's not next level stuff. Again, the big shot he's always looking for is the right hand. He doesn't set up very well, and the vulnerability of takedowns. Now that is something that is going to be, everybody's going to say, and of course I'm not telling you anything you don't know, that he's vulnerable to that. I think that the one part that is very important in this is the 3 guys that he won. He came off a few losses, and now he comes back and he wins 3 straight against Ivanov, Latifi, and Oleinik. Now you've got all these guys are aging guys, and again, they're small for the division, aging guys that do have grappling backgrounds, but not enough. They're just too small. And again, Latifi moving up. Oleinik is 43. Even Ivanov, who got him down multiple times, but just didn't have the pressure to be able to kind of swarm him and smother him. And Lewis is a strong guy. He's able to get up from that. That's not what's going to happen with Blaydes. Blaydes is very big, and he's going to have that top pressure. And the top pressure also is going to be exhausting for anybody, where you're on top. And that's the one thing that Blaydes does very well, is he makes you hold his weight. He makes you kind of get on top, he gets on top of you, and forces you to kind of hold the weight. As you're pushing up, you got a 250-pound guy in your back. That's going to really wear and tear on your legs over the time period. And as I said before, the 5 rounds, I think, leaves space for him to go out there and actually go out there and find a finish. And also the cardio. Now, I think that Blaydes, a lot of people are kind of saying Blaydes, does he have good cardio? I think he has good cardio. And again, has Lewis kind of corrected that? I think, in a way, because he slimmed down a little bit. But a lot of those things really are kind of mixing into a position where the method of victory play is where I'm going here on the client play. Now, obviously, the minus 420, 450, wherever the hell the line is going at this point, which I just absolutely agree with. I think this is just an absolute victory for Curtis Blaydes. Obviously, I'm not going to be laying that kind of chalk on this fight. But what we're going to be looking to here, again, 5 rounds. I like him to go out there and find the finish, get the TKO win. You're getting plus 120 right now on that. You're getting off the big number. And the thing about also is that Curtis Blaydes, he is a wrestler. And a lot of times you're talking about wrestlers, hey, are they going to find that submission? Is he going to get him down? Is he going to sink in a choke? Curtis Blaydes, since he has been a professional mixed martial artist, he has never submitted anybody. So it's only been decisions, and it's only been knockout wins. So it gives you a lot of opportunity in there to go out there and get the victory on the ground. And with a guy like Lewis, who, again, has question marks with his cardio, does he have it? We've got someone like Curtis Blaydes who's going to find that opportunity and find those openings, pile up the damage, slow him down. I think he can get a finish earlier. I don't even think this is something that you have to drag Lewis into deep water for him to tire himself out to find the finish. So for me here as a client play, I am taking Curtis Blaydes' method of victory by TKO, KO, plus 120. I like the plus money there. I'm a big favorite, so that's one of my plays right there. Now I'm going to quickly go over this one. If you want to hear the entire write-up, you can see it again on Wagertalk.com. Take a look, click, it's free. So I'm just going to give the play, but just kind of give a quick rundown of why I have it. The other play is going to be Chris Daukaus versus Alexei Oleinik. We were just talking a little about Oleinik. Now, the thing here is you've got Daukaus is a minus 168. You've got Oleinik is a plus 155. And the thing here you've got is, the first thing is, we just talked about, is Oleinik is 43. He's a guy that has where is it now? He's got 74 professional fights. And those are professional. Forget about even amateur fights. And out of his last 5 fights, he's 2-3. And out of those 2 wins that he ended up having, one of them was against Fabricio Verdum, which actually was a split decision and a very close fight overall. And then the other one was where he knocked out Maurice Green. Maurice Green ended up beating Maurice Green, but Maurice Green is also 1-3 out of his last 4. So both of those, and Verdum doesn't even fight in the UFC anymore. So the only 2 wins that he's had are those 2. It's not really saying too much about him. And the 3 losses that he had were brutal knockouts. I mean, he took some really bad knockouts. Overeem, Lewis knocked him out, we just talked about. I mean, at 43, there's just not much left in the tank when you're talking about a guy at this point. And the MMA mileage has just completely really hit him, I think, at this point. I think he's coming up there. I don't know if it's paychecks or what it is. I mean, does he have a chance to win this? It's a fight. Everybody's got a chance, as we saw last week, too. But I just don't. I think this line should be wider. I really think this line should be much wider than it is. You've got Daukaus on the other side. Yes, he is definitely more of a newcomer, but he's 10-3. Out of his 10 wins, 9 of them are by knockout, and he has shown he has power. He's definitely a guy that has good footwork for a guy of his size. I mean, he's pretty good overall where it comes to good footwork, working his angles, really good underrated hand speed. I think his hand speed is really nice as well. So I think he does a lot to go out there. And the thing also is that is in the clinch. That's going to be the situation where if they get in the clinch, how are they going to be? And again, Oleinik is a guy that, yeah, he's in the clinch. He is as dangerous as they come. But when you take a look at it, that Daukaus is definitely nice there. He's got good dirty boxing, and it's not going to take a lot for him to hurt Oleinik. It's not. It's really not. And with a guy that has power like Daukaus does, I think this is a great spot for him. I think this is a changing of the guard in the heavyweight division. I think you're going to see a lot of these young guys go out there and beat these older guys that are kind of shifting out. We just saw it again. Overeem, Volkov, kind of those big names kind of shifting out, and this new kind of crop coming up. And I think this is a spot here where Daukaus is, I thought he looked great, looked at his past fights. I think this is a great spot for him. I thought the line would actually be over -200, but you're really getting a price here. So for me here, as my other client play, I'm taking Chris Daukaus to win. So those are my two client plays that I'll be having. Again, if you want to take a look at the complete write-up for both of these and the two other ones, take a look at Wagertalk.com, have the write-ups there, and that's Prediction Show. So we will definitely see how we are doing. Follow me at Kyle Anthony UFC, like, subscribe, all those crazy stuff online, and we'll see how we do Saturday night. And this is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and we'll see you next time.